Yeah, you know it's getting real now. You know it's getting real now. You know we weren't making things up. We wasn't just tripping. Oh, Stephanie White got on camera and said it. She admitted they blew it. There's no size on the team. There's not enough size. Stephanie White finally admitted her, Amber Cox, Kelly Crosskoff in the front office blew it again for a second straight offseason. They blew it in an offseason in which 80% of the players were free agents. This is nasty work for Caitlin Clark, man.
In front of the cameras, head coach Stephanie White publicly acknowledged that the Indiana Fever executive staff botched this summer and that it may have been the most disastrous act of self-sabotage in WNBA history. Following months of criticism from pundits, fans, and basketball purists regarding the front office's extremely perplexing roster decisions, Stephanie White simply took the microphone and uttered the silent part. Everyone who hopes to see Caitlin Clark win a championship should be terrified by the words she used. The crew is essentially too small, she acknowledged. Even more startlingly, she described the wage figures provided by her own front desk as confusing. Welcome back to WNBA Pro, the intensely objective and analytical forum for the most intelligent online basketball discussions. Turn off this video immediately if you're seeking for corporate PR nonsense that shields outdated executives. Today, we are dissecting Stephanie White's startling dual admission, the disastrous reality of the Fever's guard rotation, the perplexing financial choices that jeopardize Caitlin Clark's future, and the extremely worrisome journey over rings mentality that is currently permeating this locker room. Let's start by talking about the big issue of roster construction. We watched the Indiana Fever navigate a free agency period with 80% of the league accessible for the entire offseason. The chance to play with Caitlin Clark, the best defensive engine in the game, was their biggest recruiting advantage. Basketball geometry requires you to surround a point guard with enormous, soaring floor spaces when she attracts constant double teams the moment she crosses the half-court line. You need wings that are 6 feet 4 inches and able to shoot over rotating defenders. The Fever front office, on the other hand, took the exact opposite action. Raven Johnson, a 5 feet 9 inches guard, was selected by them. They continued to use a large number of 5 feet 8 inches to 5 feet 9 inches guards. The truth of that failure is now beginning to set in as they get ready to confront the Eastern Conference's enormous, heavily equipped defense.
What rotation you'd like to see out there, or do you figure those out on the fly?
No, I mean, I think we've started to sketch some together, what we'd like to see, who we'd like to see play with each other in an ideal, situation. We've started to put some of those together. New York also presents some challenges because of their size and their length, and we're not very big.
You just realized that? You just realized that New York.
Pay particular attention to Stephanie White's widely reported evaluation of the roster. She responded clearly, New York also presents some challenges because of their size and length, and we are not very big, in response to a question concerning rotations and competing against great opponents. We're not particularly large. That is a devastatingly honest evaluation of a roster with serious flaws. The head coach recently said in public that Kelly Crosskoff and general manager Lynn Dunn had failed to give her the equipment she needed to compete with a squad like the Liberty. Brianna Stewart, 6 feet 4 inches, Jonquil Jones, 6 feet 6 inches, and Satu Sabali, 6 feet 4 inches, are part of the New York Liberty's rotation. They are a massive defensive wall that is intended to stifle traffic. The Indiana Fever must combat it by using a backcourt rotation that is nearly exclusively made up of undersized guards. However, the nightmare is not limited to the lack of size. Because Stephanie White publicly questioned the accounting in addition to the height of her roster. White gazed into the cameras during a press conference about the new CBA and used a word that every Fever fan should be paying careful attention to: perplexing. The pay figures her own team released this summer, according to her, are confusing. That's exactly what she said. It's ridiculous. The team's coach is publicly acknowledging that she does not comprehend the amount of money the front office invested in the roster she must now win.
Size, you should have known that. They got Satu at 6'4", Brianna Stewart at 6'4", Jonquil Jones at 6'6", 6'7". I'm telling, didn't they, brother? The Lady Phoebe 6'4", 7-footers coming off the bench. Like, bruh, they're not.
The phrase "baffling" does not come from someone who is satisfied with the judgments made by her front office, so allow me to explain the precise context. It originates from someone who is dealing with the maths in real time and is not pleased with what she observes. Kelsey Mitchell received a supermax of $1.4 million. Aaliyah Boston received a $6.3 million, 4-year contract extension. The Fever signed veteran Tiasha Harris, extended Lexi Hull, and brought back Sophie Cunningham at $665,000. Individually, each of the agreements is defendable. However, your head coach is telling you two important things when she informs the media that the numbers on her own roster are confusing. She had little influence over those figures, to start. Second, she is really worried that she won't have enough money to assemble the team she desires.
Caitlin Clark, you got Sophie and Lexi on the wing. That's cool. Outside of that, these guards is little as hell. We got a bunch of little 5'8", 5'7" point guard, two shooting guards running around outside of Caitlin Clark. It doesn't make sense.
The mainstream media doesn't understand why this is so important to Caitlin Clark. Clark's rookie deal is coming to an end. She will be eligible for a big extension under the new Epic provision in the upcoming offseason. The annual value of the extension will be several $1 million. The front office has aggressively eaten into the cap space. They will sorely need to surround Clark with the appropriate pieces when her extension kicks in by investing large sums of money over several years in a crowded guard rotation. Stephanie White's statement that the numbers are baffling basically means that this front staff spent heavily in the first year of the new CBA without properly preparing for the second. During a generational superstar's prime years, you do not want a front desk employee learning on the job. You seem to want a master plan, yet it doesn't seem to exist at all. This leads us to the most alarming conclusion regarding Stephanie White's media presence. A highly pressured environment where the coaching staff feels compelled to lower expectations is created when you combine a front office that failed to draft size with a front office that distributed confusing contracts. Uncompromising excellence must be the organizational standard for managing a generational talent such as Caitlin Clark. The window of opportunity to win championships is extremely small, but before the season even starts, listen to the worrisome business jargon White was accustomed
to. Challenge us to be the best that we can be, but at the end of the day, we're all humans who love this game, who love to be around each other, who value shared experience. And when I think back on my career, it's not always about winning the championships and hanging the banners and getting the rings. It's about those days where we struggled in practice and the journey with your teammates and the relationships that you have to this day because of that journey that you shared.
The mainstream media doesn't understand why this is so important to Caitlin Clark. Clark's rookie deal is coming to an end. She will be eligible for a big extension under the new Epic provision in the upcoming offseason. The annual value of the extension will be several $1 million. The front office has aggressively eaten into the cap space. They will sorely need to surround Clark with the appropriate pieces when her extension kicks in by investing large sums of money over several years in a crowded guard rotation. Stephanie White's statement that the numbers are baffling basically means that this front staff spent heavily in the first year of the new CBA without properly preparing for the second. During a generational superstar's prime years, you do not want a front desk employee learning on the job. You seem to want a master plan, yet it doesn't seem to exist at all. This leads us to the most alarming conclusion regarding Stephanie White's media presence. A highly pressured environment where the coaching staff feels compelled to lower expectations is created when you combine a front office that failed to draft size with a front office that distributed confusing contracts. Uncompromising excellence must be the organizational standard for managing a generational talent such as Caitlin Clark. The window of opportunity to win championships is extremely small, but before the season even starts, listen to the worrisome business jargon White was accustomed
at all. When we told y'all it made no sense, some of the moves y'all was making, y'all called us complainers, all types of stuff. So now when it's real and the live bullets is going on, we not using size as an excuse. I'm not letting you use that. Absolutely.
Looking directly into the camera, White said, "When I think back on my career, it is not always about winning the championships and hanging the banners and getting the rings. It is about those days when we struggled in practice and the journey with your teammates. Let's approach this with total, brutal objectivity. When using the best offensive weapon in professional sports, the goal is unquestionably to win championships. Networks are spending billions, fans are paying top dollar, and athletes are devoting their physical prime to the one goal of winning a trophy. T is a huge red flag when a head coach appears on TV prior to the first game and says that the trip and the challenges of practice are more important than banners. It implies that the coaching staff is already creating the psychological foundation for an explanation for a season that could be difficult. She is aware of how small the roster is. She is publicly shifting her focus to the value of friendships rather than requiring an exceptional level of performance to overcome those front office shortcomings, since she is aware that the financial flexibility is weakened. In order to have a pleasant voyage, Caitlin Clark did not dedicate her whole off-season to reconstructing her shooting mechanics and getting her body ready for a demanding 44-game season. She is here to triumph and to rule. A championship run is still feasible since the nucleus of Boston, Mitchell, and Clark is still exceptionally gifted. However, this roster construction's inadvertent mistakes may cause enormous headaches. And Stephanie White, not the executives in the opulent suites, will be the one taking responsibility for those headaches when they appear on the court. The real test of whether this roster composition was wise or perplexing is about to start with the start of the preseason. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our devoted channel viewers, such as Sarah, Mark, and David, for always upholding the channel's mission, providing support, and demanding top-notch, unwavering tactical basketball analysis. Your support enables us to create the most intelligent online community. Feasible. If you want the analysis that goes beyond what coaches say, hit the subscribe button right now. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Did Stephanie White just ignore the front desk? Or is she just being truthful about their grave errors? Every prediction in that comment part is something I would like to read. Click the notification bell because we are covering every minute of the action, the games have finally begun, and the evaluations are genuine.